of Egypt, Princess of Themyscira, Kryptonian, Mandalorian, spy, lawyer, brown coat? I thought I spelled it right. And in 507 years, she is scheduled to lead a resistance to take back the surface of the Earth. Please give a warm DragonCon welcome to our big damn hero, Gina Torres.
You're all so quiet. I thought there were like 35 people out here.
50, easy.
50 tops.
50 tops.
My goodness. Hi, everybody.
So, and by the way, we're also broadcasting out to our in-hotel network. So, hi, everybody who didn't want to stand in line. I hope you got those extra towels you asked for.
I'm not looking at you. No. Just focus right here.
So, before we get started, fun fact I didn't know about you until I researched your IMDb page. You went to the LaGuardia High School of Music and Performing Arts.
I did.
Which, anybody know what that is featured in? Fame. That is the basis for Fame.
I went to Fame school.
Two of the graduates include Marina Baccarin and Sarah Michelle Gellar.
I didn't know Sarah Michelle Gellar went there.
Well, I hope the internet's not wrong. It never is, right? It's good news. I thought that was pretty cool. Did you learn how to fly?
I had flying lessons every Tuesday after lunch.
Nice. It's good to get that in before recreation. Do we have our questions queued up out there? All right, why don't we start off to stage right, which is everybody else's left. Confused him with theater talk.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Eternal Zan, and my question is, I would just love to hear about, as actors, the relationship between Zoe and Wash, because it was clearly the best thing about Firefly.
You're right. Oh my God, Alan Tudyk. How much do I love Alan Tudyk? He's my favorite pretend husband ever. ever. We had the best time, and you've heard this before because I've had my beautiful castmates, teammates, space mates. They've all been here but me. So you've heard how much we genuinely love each other and had a great time. And that was just from the very, very beginning. We tried to make each other laugh as often as we could. Alan was much better at it than I was. Although when I did get him, I caught him off guard. I would catch him off guard, absolutely, and then he'd be done. So that's good. Yeah, no, he's great. He's such a phenomenal actor and just a genuine mensch of a human being. And so to have that, to be able to play with that combination was just glorious.
Thank you.
Yep.
Next question, opposite side of the room.
Hello. Wow, that was very loud. Sorry, let me do my soft voice. I love your character in Firefly, but what I really want to know is when you were first reading the script, right before the show started, maybe when you're auditioning or they offered it to you, and all of the roles that you'd played before that, what were some of your impressions comparing it to other work you've done?
Cool. Try not to insult anybody. Well, the audition process was weird. I mean, just starting right from there. As an actor, the closer you get to the part, the more people there are in the room that you're auditioning for, especially for television. It's like you go from reading for the casting agent to reading for the director and the casting agent, and then reading for the director and then the studio, and then which is another 10 people, and then the network, which is another 10 people on top of that. So the rooms get bigger, the people get bigger. Every time I went back in the room, it was just Jaws. because he's Joss. There wasn't a whole script. There was an outline. There was a very detailed, like 3 or 4 page outline. And he was very specific and very clear in that there were no aliens. And I had just been doing time in New Zealand fighting mutants underground. So I was like, really? It's a space show. And that there was no sound in space. I'm like, really? But you're Joss Whedon, so okay. But what was written was so smart and such a beautifully fleshed out new verse as it was, and you can tell that you could see the beginnings of a new language happening, which we all kind of learned and tried to wrap our brains around. And I just became more and more engaged and curious and excited the closer I got to being this person. Who was clearly a badass. Are they children? Children, okay. Clearly a badass, and so clearly in a loving relationship with a man. And I had been playing badasses up until that point that were living in a bubble, who were just singular entities and didn't really have relationships with anybody, because it's hard to have a relationship when you're an assassin. So yes, does that answer your question in a really roundabout way? I enjoyed it, and I'm so grateful that I got to do it.
Our next question.
Hey, I was wondering, what is your favorite guest appearance you've done on a show where you're just there for 1 episode or 2?
I'm sorry, say that one more time, my favorite.
Your favorite guest appearance you did where you were just there for 1 or 2 episodes?
Oh.
These people think about this for a while. They're into it.
I've
gotten to play so many great, I've had so many great, like, fun arcs. Like, Alias was fantastic. Ana Espinosa is one of my favorite characters of all time, and she got to live more than 2 or 3 episodes, so that's great. And someone who didn't get to live very long was my Vampire Diaries character. I got so screwed on that. I was a witch.
Yeah.
You can't just do that. You can't just rip a witch's heart out. She would see it coming. But whatever, they're off the air now, so I don't care. And I've been on this long, I've been doing this long enough that I'm always on the air somewhere. Around.
Yeah.
That's just it. You just have to hang out long enough. You just have to outlive everybody. See what happens. So those are the first 2 that come to mind. Yeah. I had a great time doing The Catch a couple years ago too. That was good. Yeah.
So I guess all that experience with like vampires and witches and things, the legal show is really not that far of a stretch from that, is it?
The language. It's the language.
Is it worse than technobabble? You didn't really have to technobabble a lot in Firefly. It was pretty straight ahead.
No, it was pretty straight ahead.
So this is your Star Trek engineering thing, right?
The hard thing about memorizing lines, it doesn't matter if it's medical speak, it doesn't matter if it's lawyer jargon, it doesn't matter if it's technobabble. If you have no relationship to it, then how do you memorize it? It's like a list of names, which we had to do a lot, when we were going up against a new law firm on suits. It was, oh, well, so-and-so and so-and-so and Kirkpatrick from the, no. That, and it's every actor. You have to have some connection to what, even if you just make it up, just that makes that work, and it makes that thing twirly thing go. So that's what I'm putting, that's what I'm saying. And it'll come out eventually.
Got a question from this side of the house.
Hi, just a question on your voice acting career. How do you balance taking on an iconic character versus making the role your own?
They all tend to be iconic
Yeah.
in their own way. I mean, again, this is, what's so funny about that is that I'm often told, I can listen to you tell me a story and just go right to sleep. I'm like, that's so sweet. And then I get hired to play these women who kill worlds and are soldiers and, and are incredibly strong. So I love that all of these characters, especially in the voiceover world, they're all bigger than life. And so you have to sort of approach them from that place. They are world beaters and goddesses and assassins and soldiers and they're not waiting for someone to ask them to dance in a corner. So yeah, if they don't start off iconic, then you won't remember them. So that's my mission.
Thank you.
Yeah.
When you're doing a voice like, I don't know, Wonder Woman, voice acting and voiceover are different. So you're acting possibly somewhat physically doing that kind of stuff. Do you feel like that you're less restrained, like you can essentially move more because you do whatever it takes to get the voice out, even if the motion wouldn't match the way you would do it in real life?
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's a part of it. It's a much more physical job than people might think. When you are in front of the camera, everything is working, right? And so because you can see me, and I'm working with people. So often when you're doing voiceover, there's nobody else in the room. But there's an interaction. And so there's an organic flow that happens when you're in a scene with other actors, whether you're doing a fight scene, whether it's just a regular conversation. When you're alone in a booth and it's just you got to make it all up in your head. And you have to create that same situation. So nothing's coming at you. You have to create it all in the space. And so that is exhausting. That is exhausting. You end up jumping around a lot. You end up, standing up quite a bit, and then hoping that no one puts your exertion sounds on a loop on their phone. Because that can sound really wrong.
Yeah. Let's not dwell on that. Take a question from this side of the room.
Hi, I'm Cammie. So my question is, Zoe, as well as Jessica Pearson and many of the other characters we've seen you play, they carry a sense of royalty. I think a couple people have already mentioned that, but they're also a part of very cutthroat, badass teams. How do you balance that dynamic in front of the camera so at every moment we're always seeing this is someone we kind of see as royal, but we could also be terrified of her if she's not on our side?
I love that. I think I learned early on from all the amazing actors that I watched growing up and that put their imprint on me, who I have tried to steal from as much as I can. That even when you're playing the most reprehensible person on the planet, there has to be something about them that the audience recognizes. And whether they like it or not, can identify with. And I think that's an essential part of getting to know somebody. I think actors at their best are mirrors of what's happening in society, in your families, in your life, in your schools, and so the only way that we can create empathy is if we start with ourselves and create empathy inside of these characters. So, with someone as strong and untouchable as a Jessica Pearson, you know, what's her saving grace is her humor. She gets it. Like, she gets the joke, and she's often in on it, and she often gets it before everybody else does. And so I think it's very gracious of her to wait till the rest of them get the joke. And she's a deeply caring and loving person. And so what you see maybe at first glance is the protector. She's protecting her world, she's protecting her people. And then you sort of get to see why. Because she needs family just as much as everybody else. And she needs to be understood, and she needs love just as much as anybody else. Does that make sense?
Now we have to care about lawyers. Thanks. A question from this side.
Hi. I wanted to ask you about Destiny. You and Nathan Fillion's characters have a very Mal Zoe type relationship. Yeah.
Okay.
And what's it like kind of coming back into that situation with the upcoming story, which I don't know how much you can say about, but kind of touch on any of that?
You know, I can't say much about it, other than it's happened. And I did it. You know, as I explained before, I've never been in the booth with Nathan. But I've been to his house. And so that continues. We have a great, you know, friendship, and that has endured. I get to hear clips of the stuff that he's done when he has been in the booth, and so that's fun. So I still get to play with that, and it does, and it brings back so many memories of what we got to do 16 years ago, 17 years ago.
Yeah.
And you still look
This
beautiful.
is why I didn't. That's why I didn't ask if they taught her how to live forever. I just asked about the flying.
Oh my God, that's crazy pants. Oh yes, it has been 16 years.
Yeah, I know. We're still mad about it too. Let's be honest. Holding a bit of a grudge. Don't let her know. It's cool. Okay. No. Talking about the voice acting bit though, because that is the interesting thing, is that you have that dynamic with Nathan because I've watched a lot of people play Destiny too, and listening to it, it's obvious that even without you two being in the booth together, I think just knowing that, oh, it's going to be this guy, you can hear kind of the play in that.
Yeah.
And it's a little, not quite a role reversal, but you have a different dynamic in that game because it's not quite clear like who's in charge at some points with the way the story goes. So it's interesting that still comes through even though you have this like kind of like lake house separation essentially of, why did I pull a lake house reference? It's not like I sit at home and eat ice cream and cry movies. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is that you get that across even without being in the room. So as a voice actress, how do you like understand the dynamic of the people that aren't going to be in the room with you to play off of them when they're physically not present?
The directors are great. The directors and the engineers are great because they do they let you know who these characters are, and they'll play sound bites. They'll play actual scenes. So I have a working understanding of what the relationships are. And then, yeah, you're right, it's that guy. It's that guy.
His feelings won't be hurt when I say
He's
that.
a mess, I'm in charge.
So it really is Nathan.
Yeah.
Wow. All right, question from this side.
Hi, I was wondering, what was your favorite part of the royal wedding?
This is the last crowd I expected to get a royal wedding question from.
I have it in my notes. I didn't think I was going to get to ask a royal wedding question ever in my life. It's on the sheet. We came loaded for this.